Hello everybody, it's Non-Seed News here, and today we've got a lot of break updates today. So the first news is coming from Washington, where we've got news that President Zelensky, President of Ukraine, has arrived and has finished his talks at the White House to discuss the victory plan with the US President Joe Biden. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see Zelensky and Biden together. And after the meeting, Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude for the US defense aid package. So he stated that I am very grateful to the US President Joe Biden, the US Congress, both parties, Republicans and Democrats, as well as the entire American people for today's announcement of a significant defense aid package to Ukraine, totaling to an amount of $7.9 billion US dollars, and the introduction of sanctions against Russia. Zelensky also stated that he also appreciates the decision to expand programs for training more Ukrainian pilots to fly the F-16 jet, as well as strong sanctions introduced to further limit Russia's ability to continue the war in Ukraine. And within this aid package, the US aid package will also include the JSOW cruise bomb, capable of flying 110 kilometers in distance. They can also be launched from F-16 jets, and also reported that Ukraine will receive bombs with cluster warheads for these bombs. After the meeting with Joe Biden, Zelensky met with the US Vice President Kamala Harris, and she reaffirmed unwavering support for Ukraine during a briefing with President Zelensky. She also emphasized that Russia's actions must not go unpunished, warning that if unchecked, Putin will not stop at Ukraine. Harris also pledged towards Ukraine's victory and stressed that any decisions regarding the war must involve Ukraine directly. And we've also got news that Zelensky also met with the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, you can see them meeting, and they actually had quite a big of a press conference, a meeting and results. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, in a meeting with both Donald Trump and Zelensky, answering reporters' questions, Donald Trump answered that Zelensky wants a fair transaction to take place on ending the war in Ukraine, and as fast as possible. Trump also stated that he's got a very good friendship with both Zelensky and Putin, and Trump says that he's ready to work with Democrats to resolve Ukraine conflicts if re-elected, and that Donald Trump has apparently learnt a lot from this meeting. So he's undoubtedly been showed Ukraine's victory plan, apparently. So talking about Zelensky's victory plan, so after Zelensky's all meeting with the US presidents and candidates, he made an evening speech on his phone here. Zelensky said the plan for victory has been presented to America and we have explained every single point. Now we will work at the level of our teams to fill every single step and every single decision. Strong positions for Ukraine will lead to peace sooner. All key issues for Ukraine are on our partners' tables, and everything is being considered. Long-range capabilities, he stated, defense packages, sanctions against Russia, and steps on Russian assets. We have managed to work on all topics. So very big statements coming from that speech. We've also got news at the sidelines of the UN meeting. Zelensky also met with President Macron of France. So Zelensky emphasized that each meeting with President Macron of France strengthens Ukrainian and French relations and delivers results that help save lives. He detailed the planned battlefield situation and Ukraine's military needs, discussing the enhancement of air defense and military training. France will train and equip a Ukrainian brigade, for which Zelensky expressed gratitude. He also thanked France for its strong support on Ukraine's NATO and EU membership, as well as its military assistance. After that, Zelensky met with the South African president and discussed the decisions from the first peace summit and preparations for the second peace summit on Ukraine. Erdogan, the president of Turkey, stated that US and other NATO members do not want Ukraine to be in the alliance of NATO, Erdogan, the Turkish president, stated, And California has signed laws of banning all plastic bags at grocery stores. Paper or plastic will no longer be a choice at grocery stores in California in checkout lines. So this is coming from the California law now. Now let's talk about some nuclear statistics around the world. So we've gotten some news about nuclear weapons, some nuclear locations around the world, coming from the news agency of Sputnik. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, regarding to Sputnik news agency, the US has a total of 5,044 nuclear weapons. Out of the US 5,044 nuclear weapons, 35 of these nuclear weapons are stationed in Italy, 20 in Turkey, 15 in Belgium, 15 in Germany, 15 in the Netherlands. The United Kingdom is set to have 225 nuclear weapons, France 290 nuclear weapons, Israel, it's stated it has 90 nuclear weapons, maybe, Pakistan 170 nuclear weapons, India 172 nuclear weapons, China 500, North Korea 50, and Russia 5,580 nuclear weapons, and an unknown amount in Belarus, clearly stated in the Sputnik report. Now let's head to the Russian Laros military exercises that are being held in the Promosky region in Russia's Far East. So these ones here. So we've got news that these exercises have came to an end. So the Laros 2024 joint Russian Laros drills have been completed in the Promosky region. So a high-ranking general states that all of the difficult missions of the drills have successfully been completed, and all objectives of the Laros 2024 international exercises have been achieved. The tasks set by the exercise commanders have been fully performed, the Deputy Commander of the Eastern Military District, General Mikhail Nuslov, stated in his address. So the Russian and Laros military exercises have ended, and we can see the medals being put on soldiers who participated in these exercises. So very interesting, and we won't be talking about these exercises anymore. Now let's head to Moscow, where we've got news that Vladimir Putin held a meeting in the Russian Energy Week 2024 forum. So we just talked about the current state of Russia's energy trade. So I've gotten the key statements by the Russian President Vladimir Putin at the session of the Russian Energy Week 2024 forum. So I've got the dot points here. So Russia's partners are interested in switching to national currencies to pay Russian exports. Moscow is working with BRICS countries to create its own payment system for independent servicing of foreign trade. Russia is gradually overcoming difficulties with payments for exports. Russia remains one of the leading participants in the energy market despite difficulties. Putin says friendly countries account for 90% of Russia's energy exports. Energy exports from Russia to the Asian Pacific countries previously amounted to 39% and now has increased 1.5 times last year. Russian gas supplies via the power of the Siberian line are now increasing. LNG exports are also growing. Russia's energy balance is one of the greenest in the world, and energy supplies from Russia will help balance world markets, said Russia at the Energy 2024 Week Forum. So very interesting news. We've also got news that the Minister of Mining and Oil of Afghanistan, so the Taliban, has also arrived in Moscow for the Russian Energy Week. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see them actually participate in this energy meeting. We've also got news about Russia's new nuclear doctrine that was stated in yesterday's video. So if you want to get the full results of that, listen to yesterday's video. So I'll just go over the new points that Putin stated. So the list of state and military alliance towards which Russia will conduct nuclear deterrence has been expanded. Russia will consider using nuclear weapons upon receipt of reliable information about a massive launch of air and space attack weapons, including tactical aircraft, cruise and hypersonic missiles and drones, and their crossing of the nation's state border. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear arms in the event of aggression against Belarus as a member of the Union state. Aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state with the participation or backing of a nuclear state would be seen as a joint attack on the nation. So these are the new 4 dot points in Russia's nuclear doctrine. We've gotten some reactions from Western leaders, including Antony Blinken first, which is the US official. He stated these new dot points are irresponsible, and the head of NATO responded to these nuclear doctrines as a way to try and stop support for Ukraine. So very interesting. Now let's head back to Russia, where we've got news that Bolivia is interested in joining BRICS, as it considers this group, which helps developing countries evolve, an option for a new world order. This was stated by the Bolivian foreign minister at the sidelines of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly meeting. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, we can actually see Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, meet with the Bolivian foreign minister, and she has stated its country's interest of joining BRICS. So now let's head to Ukraine, where we've got news that Britain is to supply Ukraine with a new batch of AS-90 self-propelled guns. Britain will deliver a new batch of AS-90 self-propelled artillery guns to Ukraine in the coming weeks. Initially, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister of the United Kingdom government, planned to supply 12 AS-90 units within 100 days of taking office, but this new plan will increase the number to 16. So far, 10 units have already been delivered to Ukraine, with the remaining 6 expected in the coming months. We've also got some news coming from some independent reporting in Ukraine that apparently Ukraine has lost 4 F-16s as a result of a surprise attack. So in this airfield here, where I'll just show you here. So in this airfield here, Russia has apparently attacked this airfield with a surprise hypersonic missile attack. And apparently Ukraine has lost 4 to 5 F-16s. Now, this has not been confirmed by any source. I don't think even Russian sources are actually reporting this at the moment. But we've gotten some news that 4 to 5 F-16s might have been destroyed as a result of a direct Russian hypersonic missile attack. So, very interesting news. We've also got news coming from Lukashenko, the president of Belarus. He stated that as soon as NATO attacks Belarus, nuclear weapons will be used. We've also got news coming from Estonia that Estonia is prepared to launch a preemptive strike against Russia to defend NATO if Moscow shows signs of preparing to attack the alliance, stated Major General Vahur Karus, Chief of the General Staff of the Estonian Defence Forces. We've also got news, which I apparently didn't add on the map, come from Hungary, that another 2 German Leopard 2A7 tanks have entered service with the Hungarian Armed Forces. The contract with the German company KMW for the purchase of 44 Leopard 2A7 plus main battle tanks was concluded in 2018. The total of the number of tanks currently in service with the Hungarian Armed Forces is 24 units. So, very interesting news. We've also gotten big news coming from the Serbian president. So, the Serbian president Vučić stated that the war in Ukraine will last another 10 years and will end according to the Korean scenario, freezing the conflict along the front line, the president of Serbia has stated. So he's saying that the war in Ukraine will absolutely end the same way as the North Korean and South Korean war ended, just freezing the conflict at the current borders, at the current front lines. So very interesting news. We've also got news that the embassy of Serbia in Kiev will resume operations this year, says the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry. And we've also got news coming from Finland that Finland offers up border town next to Russia to host NATO ground forces headquarters. The Finnish Defense Ministry proposed on Friday to place the headquarters of NATO's ground forces in the city of Mikil, so this Finnish city here near the Russian border. So Finland's defense administration proposes Mikil, the town where the Finnish Army Command is based, as the location for NATO's multi-corps land components command, the MCLCC, the statement read. So this is according to the Finnish TV channel MTV. This proposal has apparently already been approved. And the Finnish President Alexander Stubb believes that Ukraine should first become a member of the EU before it can join NATO. So this was stated by the Finnish President. We've also got news coming from Greece that Greece will continue to build a fence on its border with Turkey to prevent illegal migration even without EU funding. The decision comes amid fears of new migration waves due to an escalating conflict in the Middle East. The European Commission insists that it does not support funding for the fences along the Turkish-Greek border and calls for smarter solutions. So, very interesting news. We've also got news coming from Germany that Germany will allocate an additional 170 million euros to restore Ukraine's energy infrastructure, says the German cabinet spokesman. We've also got news and statistics coming from Germany that apparently there are 1.2 million Ukrainian refugees in Germany, which is almost 18% of the total number of refugees. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, Germany went from 1 million Ukrainian refugees to 1.2 million, and Poland actually went down from 1.6 million refugees down to 970,000. So, very interesting news. We've also got news coming from the Ukrainian embassy in Vienna that it has apparently received a bomb threat, leading to a temporary suspension of people in the Ukrainian embassy and work. The premises are being inspected in cooperation with the Austrian police to ensure safety. So apparently there was a bomb threat at the Austrian Ukrainian embassy in Vienna. We've also gotten some news coming from Azerbaijan. So we've got some huge news that Azerbaijan has just signed a huge 1.6 billion deal with Pakistan to purchase an unspecified number of JF-17C Block 3 multi-role fighter jets for the Azerbaijani Air Force. So this deal is about $1.6 billion, and it's still unknown how many fighter jets that Azerbaijan will be receiving from this huge deal reached by Pakistan and Azerbaijan. Now we've got news coming from Lebanon, and more specifically coming from the capital city of Lebanon, Beirut. And we've got some news coming from its airport first. So we've got news that Beirut's airport has just received 30 tons of medical aid sent from Turkey. So, if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see the Turkish cargo plane land and deliver the 30 tons of medical aid to Lebanon. We've also got news that Turkey also prepares to evacuate its citizens from Lebanon due to military escalation in the region, and the UK government has just released some statements and urging its citizens to also leave Lebanon and take the next flight home. And the other news coming from Beirut, the capital city of Lebanon, is that a huge missile attack has just happened. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can just see this huge Israeli attack on the buildings. And apparently, according to the information we've got, the latest news is that the attack was aimed to try and kill the Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah. I think I'll just put his name here in your bottom left corner. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner. So this is the Secretary General of Hezbollah. So this man is the the head of Hezbollah, and the Israeli Defense Forces has just tried to kill him. And this is the footage of the aftermath of the explosion. So there's still a debate if the Hezbollah Secretary General has survived or not. Some sources are stating that he has survived. Some sources are stating that he hasn't survived. But we'll get more news of his well, if he's alive or not, next video. Now let's head to Israel, where we've got news coming from Netanyahu's speech at the UN General Assembly Hall. So, if you can see here in the bottom left corner, Netanyahu was called up to do his speech at the UN Hall, and we can just see the amount of people who just walk out of the building when Netanyahu is stated to do his speech. So we can see a lot of representatives from countries, a lot of presidents actually just walk out of the room. So it's dozens, maybe 100 people walk out of the room when the Prime Minister of Israel was set to deliver his speech at the UN. We've also got news and some pictures of Benjamin Netanyahu in New York. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, in his apartment, you can actually see the Israeli Prime Minister, apparently according to the source of this picture here, actually authorizing attacks all the way from New York, and this was probably the authorized attack of Beirut, where apparently they might have killed the Hezbollah Secretary General, or they might have not. So this might have been the exact moment where Benjamin Netanyahu actually approved the decision to try and assassinate the Secretary General of Hezbollah. So I'll keep you updated on that. Now let's head to Africa, where we've got news coming from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So we've got news coming from the Congolese president that he has called for the international community to sanction Rwanda for its role in destabilizing his country on Wednesday as he addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York. So he's calling for the sanctions against this country here, Rwanda. So very interesting news, and I'll keep you updated if any sanctions actually take place. Now let's talk about the last news today. So we had news yesterday, we talked about this yesterday, but I'll just repeat it today if people didn't hear it the first time. That's the rocket force of the Chinese People Liberation Army launched an intercontinental ballistic missile, so an ICBM, with a dummy warhead into the high seas of the Pacific Ocean. So China launches its first ICBM into international waters in 44 years. And if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can actually see the launch of this missile that makes its way to the north of the Pacific Ocean. And if you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is actually the map of where it ended up. So near Hawaii, near here. So very interesting news. And we've also got a little bit of more news coming from China. That the US is apparently the biggest threat to peace worldwide, and the source of wars and conflicts, stated by a representative of China's Ministry of Defense. And the last news come today is coming from the president of El Salvador, and the president of El Salvador has just arrived in Argentina and will meet with the president of Argentina. So very interesting news. And the last news come today is Maggie Smith, who played the role of Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter films, has just died at the age of 89. So very sad news. So that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-C News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. And sorry if this video is a bit worse than normal. It took me a very long time to record this. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.